afternoon. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this College of Arts and Sciences Forum, a Fulbright lecture. I'm Ann Staten, Dean of the College, and I'm so very glad that you joined us this afternoon. We're here to learn about malnutrition in India, and also to celebrate the accomplishments of Dr. Lisa Zottarelli, Associate Professor of Sociology and a distinguished Fulbright-Nehru Research Scholar in India in 2011. I want to begin by reminding you of the importance of a Fulbright. Did you see my quotes? A Fulbright in the international academic community. In September of 1945, United States Senator J. William Fulbright introduced a bill in the U.S. Congress that called for the use of proceeds from the sales of surplus war property to fund, and here I'm quoting, the promotion of international goodwill through the exchange of students in the fields of education, culture, and science. 1 year later, President Harry S. Truman signed the Fulbright Act into law. Today, over 65 years later, quote, the Fulbright is the most widely recognized and prestigious international exchange program for faculty and students in the world. The program actively seeks out individuals of achievement and potential who represent the full diversity of their respective societies and selects nominees through an open, highly competitive, merit-based process. Dr. Zottarelli, I was hoping to catch your eye. I'm not quite tall enough. It is now my honor to introduce one of our very own, quote, individuals of achievement and potential. Our distinguished speaker, Fulbright-Nehru Research Scholar, Dr. Lisa Zottarelli. Dr. Zottarelli earned a PhD in sociology from the University of North Texas in 2002. She joined the TWU sociology faculty in 2003. During her almost 9 years here, she has distinguished herself as an outstanding teacher, mentor, advisor, departmental, college, university, service provider extraordinaire, and community volunteer. She is active in the discipline of sociology, serving as a peer reviewer for 8 different scholarly journals in the field. She has been a productive researcher since the moment she set foot on the TWU campus. She has published an average of 2 research articles in first-rate peer-reviewed journals every single year. Do the math. During those same 9 years at TWU, she has presented an average of more than 3 research papers at conferences every single year. And she has received over $1 million in research grant funding from the United States Department of Agriculture. In brief, she is a remarkable academician. This afternoon, our format is going to be, I'm going to turn this over in just a few moments to Dr. Zottarelli, and she will talk approximately 40 minutes, and then we'll open up the floor for your questions. At this point, Lisa Zottarelli, we honor you and your achievements and appreciate your being here today to talk to us about your research as a distinguished Fulbright-Nehru Research Scholar in India. The dual burden of malnutrition in India, exploring the mother-child dyad.
Thank you, Dr. Staten. And this really is an honor for me to be here and to be able to talk to you about something that was a dream of mine and that's connected to a body of research I've been working on for about 10 years now. First off, I wanted to just give you a few images of India. You'll see more as we move through this presentation. You see the Indian flag. You also see underneath that a disclaimer from the U.S. Department of State, or State Department. This is a Fulbright presentation. I am a Fulbright-Nehru Research Scholar, but the views expressed are my own and are not those of the Fulbright program, the U.S. State Department, nor any of its partner organizations. We're required to say that. The other images, this is India. I was in Trivandrum, which is in the southern tip of the state of Kerala. So I'm all the way down here, all of the Taj Mahal and Delhi and all of that's way up here. I'm down on the was down on the very southern tip. Absolutely beautiful. And you've heard I was a Fulbright-Nehru research scholar. India is one of just a few countries that co-administers the Fulbright program as equal partner. And so starting in 2010-2011, the year I was a Fulbright-Nehru research scholar, that was the first year that we had that title where both countries came together and expressed their support of what we were doing in a way that only happens with a few of the other countries involved in Fulbright. And finally, here's the building at the Center for Development Studies where I was assigned in Trivandrum. And this building was amazing. The architect is Laurie Baker. He was British, a follower of Gandhi, a friend of Gandhi, who eventually, after independence, became an Indian citizen and settled in Trivandrum, married a local woman, settled in Trivandrum. He is a world-renowned architect who, way before his time, talked about using space and local resources and local materials to build buildings that were environmentally friendly and that were adapted to the climate. And so this building had no air conditioning, had no elevator or anything. Well, there's an elevator, but it was off in a corner. No straight lines, spirals and circles, and lots of curves in the building, and a pond in the middle of the library where cool air would come flowing up through the building as you were working. Absolutely phenomenal, and we see his architecture all around Trivandrum and in other places as well. So that was quite an inspiration to be able to work there. Now let me shift to the focus of this conversation, and that is malnutrition. Malnutrition is a condition in which the body does not receive the nutrients it needs, and this can occur because of disease processes. Think about diseases that cause some kind of malabsorption in the body, but they can also be linked. But malnutrition can also be linked to other factors such as access to food, hygienic conditions, and economics. And there are two extremes when we think of malnutrition. One is undernutrition, and one is overnutrition. And we often think of undernutrition as being a problem in the developing world and overnutrition as a problem here in the developed world. And what we're going to see is that in India and in a lot of other countries, we're seeing these problems begin to co-occur. But before we get too far into that, I want to talk a little bit more about malnutrition and how we measure malnutrition in children. There are various forms of malnutrition, and malnourishment is linked to specific nutrient deficiencies as well as energy consumption, a deficiency in energy consumption. My research focuses on the energy consumption aspect. And so when we're looking at children and trying to determine whether or not they're malnourished, two ways we do that is to identify children that are stunted and children that are wasted. And stunting is a deficiency of height for age. The World Health Organization gives us a way of operationalizing or defining this. What we do is we take anthrometrics. We take measures of children, their height and their age, their weight, things like that. We measure the children, and then we take these and convert them into Z-scores. And then, in the case of stunting, less than 2 standard deviations below the mean for height for age is considered to be stunted. And stunting is evidence of chronic malnourishment. This means that there's been a long-term process where the child has not received the nutrition that it needs to develop appropriately to its full potential. Wasting, on the other hand, is an acute condition. It's a deficiency in weight for height. And when we measure this, we take the anthrometrics, convert them to Z-scores, and then again, that -2 standard deviations below the mean, greater than that, and the child is classified as wasted.